Welcome to today's video. Today's video is on the trans phenomena. I was inspired to make this video through a friend who suggested I make this topic. I did make another video kind of covering this topic very briefly towards the end of it. Short and sweet. I have my notes I'm going to be reading off of again. But before I get started in the video, I wanted to show you my outfit. My favorite tops again. It's a little sheer, so I have something underneath. And then I'm wearing my Under Armour spandex shorts. And my bulldog socks. They have bulldogs on them, and my Nike Pros. So that's my outfit. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, I was inspired to make this video by a very smart guy that I know in my life that really inspired me to make this video because I feel maybe it will come across a little differently coming from somebody like myself who is a little bit more, masculine per se in terms of my physique. Obviously I get a lot of comments from people saying that I'm too muscular or I'm too masculine or whatever because of my physique, which I totally understand. This is not something that typically a girl would do, but there's a difference between being masculine and being a man. You can be a masculine woman, and sometimes being a masculine woman can manifest itself in different manners. So for example, if you see a tomboy girl, like I was a tomboy growing up, you typically would see her really skinny, relatively skinny, or she may have a little bit more mass on her, and she kind of hangs out with the guys, and that's still kind of me, but it manifests a little differently. Like I know one girl where she's very masculine by nature, but she has really big legs, really tiny waist, really big breasts, and is feminine in her face, and everything else is pretty much feminine, except for the fact that she's a go-getter. She has her own business. She does very well for herself, but she has admitted that she is masculine by nature, which I think she's just referring to kind of going after things that she wants, which tends to be a masculine attribute. About it, I wrote it here on the board so that it's easier for the video, and I wrote that the issue isn't about how you look, it's people in terms of like the trans industry, the people insisting that reality isn't real. One of the problems with transgender, and just for the record, I'm against transgender. I'm not for it. I believe that we're going to dive into that actually here in a second. Number two is that the trans industry or people argue that attributes equal reality, and that the normal people per se is that biology is reality. So to make it very short and sweet, this is for educational, informational purposes or entertainment purposes only. So if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the best YouTube channel ever. Let's go ahead and jump into the video. First of all, obviously I am not for this transgender whole thing. It's one thing to be, like gay or something. It's another thing to transition. It's a really big problem, I think, in today, especially with kids, people under the age of 18, when you still don't really know who you are. Even into your 20s, you don't really know, who you are as a person. And to transition is I think it's a really big problem that something needs to change. So number one that I have on my paper is women are women, men are men. You can be a woman and be masculine. You can be a man and feminine. That's, I talked about in another video. There are obviously downfalls with that. If you're super masculine as a woman, or if you're super feminine as a man, it's kind of a give and take. You don't want to be too feminine as a man. You also don't want to be too masculine as a woman. So it's a very delicate balance. And that kind of started, I think that's what started all of this, is that women trying to define what a woman is. Number two, muscles are cosmetic, just like how in the phenomena of when women were seen as a man when they wore pants years ago, and when women started smoking cigarettes. Smoking cigarettes was considered a masculine thing. It's considered women were seen as a man when they did that. Muscles is the same thing. It's a cosmetic thing. If you have muscles, it can be seen as a masculine trait or as a manly thing, or in some cases, some people just say you're straight up look like a man. So that goes into perspective. Everybody's definition of beauty is different. So what I may find beautiful is different from somebody else. Number three, the issue, like I wrote here, The issue isn't about how you look. It's about insisting that reality isn't real and denying biology. So if you are a female or a woman or a lady, you have a vagina, and your chromosome set is different from that of a man. If you transition, you're changing your biology to something that you were not born into. If it's the case and people want to change their sex, then technically I can be anything. I can go be a dog if I want to, or I can go be an orange, or I can go be, a unicorn. Or that's one of the problems I think with this grand phenomenon is if, okay, you can go transition to be a woman or be a man, specifically, like the bizarre thing is now men trying to have kids. Now you're getting into the contention of biology, not physical attributes. Now it's a matter of a discussion of what is biology. Being trans is a threat because it's a denial of reality and an attempt to redefine reality. If everyone is trying to be trans or trying to transition, trying to become a man, biologically speaking, they're trying to become a man or a male or vice versa. Now we're getting into the topic of what is actually the reality here. What are you really? Are you an orange? Are you a male? Are you a dog? Are you a cat? I mean, it's so many different ways that we can identify ourselves, which in and of itself is a problem. The first wave of feminism said stuff women do doesn't make them a man. They were trying to talk about pants, women working, women wearing pants, women working, women smoking, women were having muscles, whatever. That was the first wave of feminism. Now you have the second wave of feminism, where it's not only the stuff that women do that makes them man, is what their argument is saying, which is obliterating the definition of a man and a woman so they could be flexible and self-defined. So now we're getting into the discussion of what we can now define what a woman is. If that's the case, then going back to what I said earlier, I can define myself as an orange and say I'm a woman, right? Or I'm a zebra, or I'm a horse. Number 5, the conclusion of what a woman is leaves us with 2 options. Number 1, biology defining a man and a woman, right? We have to leave it up to biology to define what a man and a woman is. Or number 2, we leave it up to stuff to define what a woman is. The problem with defining what a woman is based off of stuff is that it can literally be anything. It can be muscle, it can be hair, it can be what her interests are, it can be whether or not she likes the color blue, whether or not she likes the color pink, whether or not she hangs out with guys or she hangs out with girls, whether or not she works in an industry with men. There's so many different things and factors that we can divide and say this is what a woman is and this is what a woman is. Number 6, biology is real, and that someone might say a muscular girl like myself looks like a man, or vice versa. If you're a dude, maybe you don't have muscle, technically you could argue that he looks like a girl, but typically you won't hear that. The problem is that the whole attribute things like muscles, or maybe she's interested in cars, or she's interested in the color blue, all of those stuff are attributes. It's interest, and they're not necessarily real. But biology is real, whether or not you have a vagina or whether or not you have a penis. That's real. That's biology. That's what defines whether or not you're a dude, you're a male, or you're a female, or a woman. If you have a vagina, you're a woman. W stands for the womb, because you can carry children. This with 2 other arguments, that aesthetic opinion and biology are 2 different concepts. What I perceive as aesthetically pleasing as a lady, maybe to me, having muscles is considered more as feminine. I can make muscles feminine. That can be argued. Some people don't see it that way. Some people look at me and they think, oh, she's too masculine or she's too muscular, which is a fair argument. It's a fair conversation. No different than how, in my opinion, some women, and there's some women that, in my opinion, their jaws start to get really strong, like because you have androgen receptors on your jaw, so your jaws get really strong. Their temples here get really strong as a woman in bodybuilding, powerlifting, or whatever. Me personally, that's not really my taste. It's a little too masculine for me. There's some guys that are into that in women. That's just what they're into. And the fact that she still has a strong jaw, she maybe has big muscles, she has her temples really strong, or her voice is whatever, it still doesn't deny the fact that she's still a female. She's still a woman, but she's just very, very masculine. Me personally, you know, and mind you, a lot of this is genetics, but, you know, I really take a lot of pride in, you know, embracing my femininity, despite the fact that I have a lot of muscle tissue and I plan to get more or whatever I decide to do. But the jaw, something you kind of have to, in my opinion, one has to be careful with if you're a woman and if you want to stay relatively feminine in nature, although again, that could be argued. So it all comes down to personal preference, right? A lot of men I know, they like my look. There's a lot of guys that don't like my look. It just comes down to what you're attracted to. Number 7 is exactly what I wrote on the board. Trans argue that attributes is reality, and then normal people per se argue that biology is reality. Okay, number 8 that I have on here is that muscles can be considered masculine. Sure, I get that a lot, and it's not, I don't disagree. But what I will say is that how you carry the muscle, how you carry her, how she carries herself is just as much, if not more important than how she physically looks. For example, you see a really skinny girl and she's a tomboy. She dresses like a dude. She has her hair super short. She maybe doesn't wear any makeup. She doesn't get her nails done. She's like super basic and basically like a dude. You typically won't see people comment on the fact that she's dressed like a dude and she's a tomboy. Typically. Sometimes you will, but typically we're gonna say it's more common to see people comment on a muscular girl than it is to see them comment on a tomboy of a girl. Why is that? That's another topic that's maybe for a different day. So I'm gonna stop the video right there. I could also say for number 9, some men don't like women with a lot of hair. I think it's a little weird, personally, but some people are really into women with lots of hair. There's people in the fitness industry where there's women with really big muscles and they have a ton of hair and they literally look like, you know, something else. But we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. Point of the video is the trans phenomenon. I just wanted to make that video to cover some bullet points on what it means, the differences between the two. And in my opinion, this whole trans thing is just getting really out of control. It's really sad, actually, to even see kids transition, and it's really not necessary. And again, going back to another video that I made earlier, it's just all for control. I did use a reference in the previous video that I made in regards to all this stuff, and I referenced the Bible, and I probably shouldn't have used that as much, looking back at it now, but I think it's really important to think of and learn from different contexts, even if it comes from a story or a collection of stories. But you know, if you know me from my Instagram, or you know me from my other videos, I'm big into science too, but science, there's a lot of scientists that don't deny the fact that there is a God. So I'll just leave it at that. Number 10 is because you like me, you watched this far, you're gonna subscribe to the channel. Please consider liking the video. Please share it with a friend and check me out on my other stuff, wherever else I am. Click below for any things I got going on. If you have any questions or any topic ideas, or if you disagree with this whole video, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your input. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next video.